Hello and welcome back to this T-Box Media coverage. Final round, back nine. MPO Lead card coverage of Makaripi 2023 from the beautiful Scion Tree Nursery in Rotorua, in the heart of the Central Plateau, in the North Island of New Zealand. I'm Henry Pearson and I'm joined in the commentary booth by my very good friend, Jake Brennan.
Thank you, sir. So there we go. Sullivan only shooting one down on the front nine. He'll be looking to get on a heater on the back nine. Mario closing the gap a bit, one behind him.
And then a little battle there at the bottom of the scorecard for third. We move into the 10th hole and the start of the back nine, hole 10, 160 metre par 4. This is a snaky S-shaped two-shot par 4. Players will look to play a forehand or a slight turnover backhand roughly to where that lady was walking the dogs, to leave a right to left shaping right-hand backhand hyzer from about 80 or 90 metres to a reasonably open green. Two placement shots leave a high probability for a birdie, and these players are the best of the lot. We'll see how they navigate the 10th.
Yourself going with the forehand. We're just leaving that a little bit wide there.
It's a latitude 64 triple X, which is a really overstable fairway driver, but I just turned over a little bit much out of the hand. Mario's got the right idea with that shape. Hyzer out of the hand and a great skip into position A.
And he gets the 10-foot roll as well. Henry, this is one of my favourite holes in New Zealand, just the way it shapes up, and it's really a two-shot par 4. Two good shots will get you the 3, but I think it's a fair hole.
I think you said it well, Jake. It demands two contrasting shots, left to right and then right to left, and the beautiful redwood tree-lined fairways make this hole particularly picturesque. Jake the anomaly off the tee with the only backhand, and he'll find himself tucked in behind those big redwoods on the right. I'm scrambling a bit from out of position.
Henry asking for it to go there, just coming up a little bit short. Jacko having to navigate the dog walkers.
Jacko no stranger to leading the charge here in Rotorua, the two-time defending champion of the tournament. And he's left himself a circle's edge look to kickstart his back nine.
I don't really know what shot this was. I was just sort of trying to get it out there.
Very unusual starts. I would have thought that you'd put a patent pending right foot forward stance on that shot. What were you thinking behind?
Well, I've actually never tried a patent pending shot, so I don't know how to throw it. So I threw the only thing I knew how to do, really. I figured the tournament's not the time to try things like that, but maybe next time we'll give it a go.
Particularly when I'm hot on your heels, Jack, you wouldn't want to give up too many shots at this clutch stage of the tournament. A couple of good upshots from the boys. Mario in there close for a birdie look, and Jacko now for his own birdie from circle's edge.
Good catch from the basket there. Jacko starting off the back nine nicely. To give the viewers at home a bit of an idea, last year Jacko went 19 down to win it. The year before he went 17 down to win it, and the year before Simon Feasey came in at 17 down. So somewhere between that 17 to 19 has won it in years past. And Mario there keeping it nice and tight. 13-14, one shot in it.
A very tidy round underway for Mario with just one blemish coming on the 8th hole. And I'm carrying Just about everything but the kitchen sink going into the 11th.
And here we go, speaking of 11, par 3, 83 metres. I feel this hole is playing as the must-get of the tournament. It really is just a straight hyzer shot. Players will play a overstable zone, a Kia, I'm throwing a Kutuku at this, big wide open green, basically just hit it. There's not much skip, and then just make your putt.
Jake, you said it well, this hole playing the easiest on the course for the MPO field. All that's required is a slight hyzer of a putter or a soft mid-range into a very open green.
Of course, Jacko, the RPM player, is going to lean on his Kia. That's pretty close. He'll be looking to get another birdie. Starting off the back nine nicely. And yourself going with your trusty zone?
Indeed, a Kia equivalent. Similar flight, similar speed, similar stability. And that's a beauty. Jake, to make it 4 from 4, what have you got there in hand?
That is my favourite disc of all time. That is my Kutuku. I got that in, I think it's 2020, the Paradise plates. It was the New Zealand Champs. One of the first tournaments I ever entered, and I didn't even realise it was the championship. But I love the disc, so I'll just keep throwing it.
How could I forget that tournament, Jake? That was where you and I first made each other's acquaintance.
That's when Henry and I met many moons ago.
I think my heart just fluttered a little bit. I'm blushing. The viewers won't be able to see, but
let's see if Mario makes this putt. Oh, wonderful.
It's all just gotten very hot and slightly steamy here in the commentary booth. But we'd best not digress too far, Jack. We've got 7 holes of the tournament to go, and at the penultimate stage.
And Mario and Jacko have just started hitting their birdie streak. On a bit of a heater here.
And this putt will make it a star frame for the card.
Woohoo! Henry ringing the chains up there by himself.
We move forward to hole number 12. It's a 112 metre par 3. Quite tight here off the tee. You'll progress roughly 80 metres until you enter the green. Guarded by very prominent redwoods, and it shapes from right to left. Players will be looking to throw probably a fairway driver, maybe a soft distance driver that's going to land at the entrance of that green and skip up, make the most of the barren surface around the basket. Mario leads off with a kahu.
And he'll be just at the entrance there, a little bit outside putting range, maybe edge circle 2, however bit. Jacko absolutely parked this in round 2, throwing the same disc. It's Peka Peka.
Beautiful height, a little straight perhaps, but that right hand side I feel, Jake, is not a bad bailout. There's not too much in the way in terms of foliage, only a few prominent guardian redwoods. This for me a champion destroyer.
That looks great out of the hand. What a skip. And wow, 5 metres long of the basket.
Yeah, that was pretty sharp. Probably threw that with maybe 90% power. I don't have the longest arm in the game, but so I really did have to put a little bit of oomph behind it, but on a beautiful line. And
well, I felt like you did everything you needed to do there. Great shot, mate.
Very complimentary of you for a change. Jake now trying to follow suit with a destroyer of his own, but he'll end up in similar territory to Jacko.
Yeah, we're just a wee bit outside the circle, but we'll have a bit of a look. Ooh, Mario a little bit closer than I initially thought. Gave that a pretty good scare. Oof.
Oh, Jake, what a putt. Exceptional too. I feel you may have done that in a previous round.
That's 3 from 3 on this hole in the tournament. Yeah, I don't know what happened.
That's a pretty phenomenal statistic, frankly, given that this hole was playing sort of slightly over par for most rounds. So you were certainly gaining strokes on folks.
Well, with
Three
you
birdies.
parked, I knew you were gonna close that gap if I didn't hit the putt, so couldn't have that. And Henry last one for his birdie. Wonderful. You don't see many closer than that. I remember you saying that was your favourite green to putt on.
Beautiful. They call it the Cathedral with those Guardian redwoods surrounding the green.
And speaking of Guardians, hole 13, here we go, off the tee. Bit of a narrow fairway to punch up, 131 metres, par 4. The 2 is in play if you can make the corner and then just hyzer steeply in towards the basket. Most players are going to look to pump something straight down the middle and pitch in for an easy 3. Yourself first off the tee. Now you had held the box for a while at this stage. Is it good feelings when you're holding the box, or?
I had a feeling I'd just gotten the box, but always nice to have the box, a feeling that you're leading the pack to a certain degree. Jake, I don't recognise that disc. What are you throwing here?
That is my G-Star T-Bird. It's my straight fairway.
Interesting choice to lay off a little bit on the speed on this hole. Was that with any particular purpose?
Yeah, well, I thought the 2 was a really hard get, so I thought I might just play for the 3. And at 131 metres, you didn't need a lot of distance. If you get something 70, 80 metres out there, it leaves a pretty easy putter in. So I went for placement over distance.
I like your thinking. The percentage play rather than really try and force the birdie, so to speak. Jacko in a good spot there to get up and down for his 3 of his own.
Now yourself, when you're playing a tournament, are you trying to throw as far as you can all the time, or are you trying to play placement, or you're trying to be the hero, or what's your strategy when you go into these holes?
Look, I think there's a couple of thoughts on that front. It probably depends most on the course. A wooded layout like this, you'd think it might be in your best interest to...
Calling for it to hit something.
It might be in your best interest just to lay off the power a little bit in order to achieve a little more accuracy, given that accuracy is at a premium on this course. But on more open courses like some of the courses that we'll see ahead in subsequent tee-box coverage later this year, distance is going to be a real key for success on those holes. So that's when one's power might become important.
Oh, Mario, just off the top.
I think that landed on top of the cage.
That is on top of the cage.
I don't know that I've ever seen that, have you?
I've never seen that. What is the ruling on that?
Well, I can't imagine it's in. How long can you leave it there until... Oh!
Now,
No.
if that fell in,
Did that hit him?
was that going to be in? Leave a
That
comment
is
below.
bizarre.
I've never seen that. Leave a comment if you've ever seen that before.
I think I remember... Look, I used to play a bit of ball golf. And in ball golf, there is a period of time in which you can leave the ball sitting over the edge of the cup to allow it a chance to roll into the cup. I don't know if there's a disc golf equivalent.
Right, like a timing thing, and if
Indeed.
it exceeds that time and the disc hasn't moved...
15, 20 seconds, something like that.
Yeah.
And what would have happened if that had hit his foot?
Oh, I would have called it. No.
Oh, okay. You're that guy,
No,
eh?
no,
Oh, right.
There we go.
PDGA rules official over here to my left. We move on to hole 14. It's a par 3 at 81 metres. One dead straight hallway lines this hole. Players will look to throw a putter or a mid-range right down the tunnel. There are a couple of alternative plays, but I'm not sure whether we'll see them on this card. To be determined. I'm leading off with an RPM Tui, very understable putt and approach disc.
Taking the gap on. Getting the flip. Wow. Wow. That deserves a replay. Look at this. I thought that was hyzering into the tree, but you just utilised the whole fairway, fading back, and the disc stables up. And you get a 1 or 2 metre skip at the end, leaving yourself, what, 4 metre putt?
About that, it can't have been far from hitting those trees on the left. This doesn't look like it's going down the tunnel. A very interesting play out to the right. I think you did that, maybe if I recall now, in one of the earlier rounds.
All 3 rounds actually. Yeah, I've taken 2 pars, so I just thought I'd shake hands with the hole and call it even.
So the purpose of that play is...
just to give me an easy pitch in, so I don't hit an early tree like Jacko. I was practicing this hole and I kicked off an early tree and lost a disc, and from there I just said, I'm not going to chance it. And now everyone's just pumping down the gap and making me look silly.
Oh, very wide open though out in this area, so I can kind of see why you do it as a safe play. Probably wanted... Did you want a bit more hyzer there?
A little bit more hyzer. I thought the Kutuku would have come in, but I think a little bit of crosswind in the trees. I'm going to blame that, but really I think it was me. Interesting point you raised before, Henry, about on more wide open courses maybe you want to dial up the power a bit. Noticing that both South Island, North Island and Nats are all on golf courses this year. Do you think that favours a certain kind of player or a certain calibre of player?
Look, it's probably going to favour a player that can throw a long bomb. We've just seen the release of the gold layout that the pros will navigate at national championships down in Invercargill at the beginning of March. March. And there are some seriously long par 4s, par 5s on that course. Not to say though that accuracy is not important, because most of those holes are going to be lined by OB. Jake, have you had a look, I suppose, at the layout?
Well, I'm actually not playing Nationals, but I'm playing North Islands. So the layouts for that haven't come out. But they do look like, if you can drive anywhere in the vicinity of 130, 140, a certain advantage. Mario, being the showman, tapping in.
And pleased to move on to the
15th hole, 94 metre. Many options on this hole, whether you want to throw the backhand turnover, forehand hyzer, roller, thumber. Basket is really well protected and behind these trees. Some people play the high play that's going to crash the trees and fall down beside the basket. We'll see what the card does. Henry, what is this play?
One of my go-tos, that is a champion Firebird thrown on thumber.
With a key eye.
With a what?
A key eye.
What?
Oh. Yeah.
The Viking chant.
Yeah. Jacko with the roller. That's going to curl up. Yeah.
Beautiful
12 metres?
shot. He's in a great position there with the open look at the birdie 2. Mario throwing out to the right, but would need a little more stability, I think, on the disc to get back into a position to run it. And what's your play here, Jack?
It's going to be. I'm going to follow Mario's line a little bit. Maybe something not quite as high and wide, a little bit more direct.
Ooh, unlucky to have clipped a tree. Did skirt it quite closely, but not in a bad spot here. This looks ominous. Oh boy. Hold on to your hats.
That was a bit of fun. Why not, when everything's tied up?
I've just actually noticed, Jake, the bottom right there of your screen, that the battle for third has become a little tighter.
Yeah, well, 4 in a row from you, and that's brought you right into it.
Yeah, that's
That was an athletic jump putt over the tree.
It looked a little Gumby, actually, from my standpoint, but look, I'll take whatever I can get on that shot.
Right, I thought it was athletic. Whoa, Jacko! Wow.
Beautiful birdie too after the backhand roller P-walk. Jacko now starting to take a bit of a commanding lead on Mario as we enter the final 3 holes. He's pulled away with a very sharp back nine, and you've salvaged a good par from what was quite an unusual approach shot.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't play that shot again, but I'm happy how it worked out. And that, with Jacko's birdie, takes the lead to 3. Mario with a bit of work to do.
Jacko from 14 metres, a beautiful putt with an RPM Takaboo.
Something to be said about putts under pressure. But anyway, here we go. Hole 16, par 3, 91 metres. Most players are just going to hit the gap here. The trees on the left are a little bit more dense, so I think most players are going to try and turn their disc over a little bit more to the right side and then finish in towards the left. But we'll see how everyone plays it.
The only comment I'd add is I seem to recall this hole played quite a bit longer than 91. More like 115-ish.
I agree. Yeah.
Jacko putting a full rip on a pecker there, and you'd know that he would be more than capable of tonking that 100 plus. This for me was another star destroyer. So,
were you trying to go straight at it there, or were you just a little bit of an early release?
Trying to pull it a little bit through that right hand gap of the tree that I hit, but so perhaps you could say it's a early release.
Right, needs to put this one close. Calling for it to come back. Oh, just hits the tree there. That would have been close.
Jake with ballista in hand, and it's got through most into a spot where you might have a look.
This is a really tricky upshot for you here. You've got many rows of trees to navigate. Did you have much of a line?
I did have a line there, but I tugged it a bit out of the hand.
That is not
It had to come back quite hard to the left, so I threw a very overstable mid-range.
Now, are you checking scores at this stage of the round, Henry?
No, never. I never look at scores. I just find that I'm better off playing my own game and not worrying about what others are doing. And the stakes really aren't that high, in a battle for third to bother with scores. I'd rather just give it my all, and the cards will fall where they may. What about yourself? What's your thoughts on checking scores?
I'm always checking scores. It doesn't. I personally, I don't think it matters on how I play. But I just like to keep tabs on what everyone's doing. And Jacko with another birdie, pulling ever far away from Mario. That is going to be really tough for Mario to make up. 2 holes to play. He's just looking for Jacko to make a mistake, really.
And that high five exchange between the 2 top boys, almost a concession from Mario to suggest that Jacko might be too far out of reach now to claw back a 4-stroke lead over 2 holes. Anything can happen, but with a guy of Jacko's calibre, it would be unlikely. Hole 17, it's a par 4, 182 metres. Two different lines to take off the tee, the left-hand gap that we're following here on screen, and the right-hand gap is just around that tree on your right-hand side. Players will look to play a high-speed overstable driver into the open fairway before navigating a wooded section at the end of the fairway and entering a tight green.
Here we go, Jacko. He's taken the right gap both times, so we'll see what he throws. Yeah, he goes out there again. I feel that's the play. It's much more space out there to pitch in. He's just looking not to make any mistakes now. Mario pretty much following in his vapor trails. A little bit short for Mario there. I feel like he could have pushed that a bit further. So here I know that I'm one up and all I want to do is get the drive out. And I thought that was good out of my hand, and then that. And it just cut it down.
Close. But no cigar.
And yourself, you're leaning back on your destroyer?
Yeah, this one's more stable than other destroyers in the bag. Lucky to get through the trees and in a pretty good spot. So just for some context for our viewers, this tournament taking place at the latter stages of the 2023 New Zealand Tour Series. The tour is going to be wrapped up with 3 major tournaments taking place over the course of February and March across both the North and South Island. And the final stages of the tournament, of the tour, will come to their conclusion in roughly May to June. So tour points at a premium.
And I think at the end of the 2022-23 season, I know there are a few boys from Winnow making the move up from MA1 to MPO.
Yeah, I think there's some good movement and talent coming up through the ranks, both in the North and South Island. Josh Love Parada and Nick Goldner have both won a number of MA1 titles over the course of the past calendar year and will be poised to make a step up to MPO. And
Sebastian Faulkner.
Yeah, likewise in the South Island. Sebastian's been playing very well. Just announced recently that he's been selected as a contender for the Discmania 1 and 4 contract, along with a good friend of T-Box Media's Connor McKinstry from the Naki.
Yeah, well done to those boys.
And it's probably a welcome change for guys like statesmen of the game like Jacko and Simon Feasey, even Mario, who have been around the traps for a while, that the competition has probably been held by a small group of familiar faces for a long time, and so to have some very fresh new athletic talent coming up through the ranks will make for perhaps a renewal of motivation amongst some of those boys as you put everything you could into that putt. I think that was to save your 4.
That was to save the 4, but now I know we're going to be even going into the last hole. Potentially, if I make the putt. We don't know that.
Mario with an outside circle. Look. Oh my.
Oh, that was in.
A good look. It's not going to matter too much given his good round to date, and he's well clear of Jake in 3rd place. Jacko to extend his lead.
So that takes Jacko to 19 under. His record in the past year, as I was saying, was 19. So he'll be looking to birdie hole 18 just to put one up on himself from last year.
And I'll tidy up before moving into the penultimate hole of the tournament. Thanks again to the good guys from T-Box Media for covering the event for the very first time. And what beautiful footage we've had of the Makaripi course. We move on to hole 18, par 4, 152 metres. Players will look to play a nice drive into the Guardian Redwoods here and hope to secure an open line to what is a pretty open green. The left hand side of the fairway is guarded by both out of bounds and a mando tree early, so stay to the right and leave yourself a short approach for a good finish.
Jacko got this one pretty much wrapped up. Looking good out of his hand off the tee, calling for it to stay right. And it touched the Mando flag. Just there. And yourself under pressure, throwing, hyzering out. Where has that gone? It'll be a tough one to make birdie on this hole.
Indeed, it's a wee way back, so I'm going to have to put a bit of muscle behind my approach shot. Mario with a butte into... That is a very good spot. He's going to have a pretty open line to the basket. It's not that T-bird.
That is the straight T-bird. I've been throwing driver, and I thought I'd disc down a little bit and just put something in the middle of the gap. Yep, right at Joel's feet. I told him to stand there. Now, this is jail. And it's out and skipping and 6 meters. What? I challenge anyone to go and find that spot where Henry was, put your marker there, and try and get up and down. I think you could have 10 shots at it and you probably won't get close to any of them. So that's probably the shot of the round, in my opinion.
It was a pretty good one, I think. I've thrown a couple of good ones in this round, but that one, I suppose under the circumstances, was pretty sharp. But the battle for third tight. Not that it's too big a pressure. As you skirted with that OB line, did you stay in?
I don't know. It's going to be close. Jacko with just pitching out to the side. He'll just be playing for 19 to probably finish on what he finished on last year. Unless he throws this in, giving it a bid. What a hot back 9 from Jacko.
Indeed, he started off very slow and has really picked up the pace on the homeward stretch. Perhaps brought about in part by the pressure that Mario was asserting after a hot 9 of his own to begin with. Jake, what a great finish from you. To almost have gone out of bounds and then to cash a good putt to make a good birdie on the last hole and put the pressure on for third place.
Now, there's a bit of a gallery here behind you. There's probably most people you've putted in front of.
Yeah, perhaps so. It was a good putt though, and pleased to have ended the round on a tie. Very jovial, the two of us, aren't we? Yeah.
Couldn't have had a better finish, in my opinion. That was fantastic.
Oh look, I wouldn't have minded to be one up on you, admittedly, but a tie is lovely, and we both went home happy.
There's next year, Henry, if you make it there. See you.
Mario with a good round, and he'll be pretty pleased with his performance at 14 down. And Jacko, to tidy up for the win, your 2023 Makaripi MPO champion, and now your third time winner in a row at Rotorua.
Yeah, look at all the players here. It was a fun card to play on. I feel like there was banter everywhere, and everyone just had a bit of fun, I think. Beautiful course. I'd come back and play that course again. Really use your whole bag, and I recommend anyone to go and check the course out when you're in Rotorua. Lots of smiles.
Final wrap up for the end of Makaripi 2023. Jackson Sullivan, now your 3-time champion, ahead of the pack at 19 under, tying what is his tournament record here in Rotorua. Mario, myself and Jake all came out with very sharp tournament performances, and Mark DeKeefe following up his first 2 rounds with a very sharp final round to close it out at 6 down. A great tournament. Thanks so much to the crew at RPM Discs for hosting the event, and of course to T-Box Media for your coverage of Makaripi for the very first time.
Yeah, please like and subscribe. Means so much to us. Paul's trying to get to 1,000 members. He's nearly there. And of course, thank you to Winnow for showing up and sponsoring the event and doing good things.
Lots of contributors to a wonderful event. We'll see you next year for the 2024 variant of Makaripi. Jake, a pleasure to join you in commentary as always. Viewers, we'll see you when we see you.